Most of you might know me as the L Catalog on social media. I'm your host, L'Oreal, and this is the L Podcast.
Lend me your ears.
The L Podcast.
This is super exciting. We are finally here. The podcast has finally arrived. Can we talk about the shirt for a second? TikTok, $4. I'm really her. I am. This past year, I have gone through so much. As a mother, as a human being, as a woman, as a content creator, I feel like sometimes we have to take a couple steps back to go forward. Why is it so quiet in here? It is so quiet. Do you guys hear that? I'm freaking out. I need something. Let's see what else we got. That damn cricket again. And she was a fairy. Okay, I like this. Now that's how you start a podcast off. Is it gonna stop? How long is this? Technology's not my thing. Okay, all I had to do is press a button. We're learning together. Stay with me. If you enjoy music, then you're in the right place. So I have a segment called Cooking Beats. I take old beats or old theme songs from cartoons, TV shows back in the day. Like we're talking 50s to the 90s to early 2000s. And I like to remake them and put my own spin on them. Most of you probably know me on social media as the L Catalog. That's the other side of my coffee cup. The L Catalog. My name is L'Oreal. That's what the L stands for. So welcome to the very first episode of the L Podcast. So what is the L Catalog, you say, right? Because I feel like everybody's social media is their catalog. I just want to get right to the point because literally my life is a catalog and there are many things to my catalog. So let's start with music. Music has always been a huge chunk of who I am and what I do. I want to know what influences your love for music. I want to know what influences your love for music. If you want to talk about that, shoot me a DM. I would love for you to come on the podcast and we can talk about all things music. My mom doesn't play any instruments, but she is a musical library. I can call her and ask her about any song of any decade, of any genre, and more than likely, she will know the song. Actually, it's because of her that I have such a vast range of music. I play the piano. I have had classical training as a child, and it was one of the best things that my parents could have done was expose me to that. You're a singer, you're a musician, anything. We all share the language of music. Speaking of which, the last week, I have been listening to the soundtrack and the movie has just been on my mind, and I have noticed that a lot of people feel this way. I saw the movie Sinners. Vampires? I love vampires. Any movie, TV series that is a vampire-related theme, I can enjoy it. Only reason why, besides Michael B. Jordan, that I went to go see this movie is because I found out that this movie was actually inspired by a real-life musician, blues musician, Robert Johnson. If you do not know who Robert Johnson is, Google him. There is a special or a documentary on Robert Johnson on Netflix. And it explains his entire life story, and it mentions the myth of him going to the crossroads, selling his soul to be the best blues musician that ever walked the earth. There were so many things about this movie. I will be here for 3 days talking about it. So on that note, let me get a sip here of coffee. I might get killed in the comments for this. When it comes to music production, when it comes to music, period, the melody, the music hits me first, and then I listen to lyrics. I can listen to music with no words all day. Doesn't matter what genre it is, country, rock, it doesn't matter. I can listen to instrumentals all day. There is a song by Robert Johnson, which is it's my favorite song that he does. He only recorded 29 songs, which is not a lot. He died at the age of 27, so we didn't really get to see his life's work. But the little that he left behind, I thought was amazing. There is one song called Red Hot. I did sample, and it is such a catchy tune. It never leaves my head. I'm just going to play a little bit for you right now.
Place called Robertson. Saturday night, yeah, Willie Brown. And every time we stop for rest, get the guitar and be trying to play it and be just noising the people. Why don't some of y'all go in there and make that boy put get that thing down? He running us crazy. Well, he was gone about 6 or 8 months. Me and Willie Brown was playing out there, and he walked in. I said, "Nah, don't come back with that, Robert." I said, "You know the people don't want to hear that racket." He said, let them say what they want to say. I want you to see what I learned. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. 2 for a nickel, got 4 for a dime. Would say more, but they ain't none of mine. I got a letter from a girl in the road. Now she got something good she got to bring home. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. 2 for a nickel, got 4 for a dime. Would say more, but they ain't none of mine. I got a letter from a girl in the road. Now she got something good she got to bring home. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. 2 for a nickel, got 4 for a dime. Would say more, but they ain't none of mine. I got a letter from a girl in the road. Now she got something good she got to bring home. Goes back and it won't be never. Ever since daddy can't take it really. Yeah. My baby bought a bed for work. We bought that thing all on the running boat. Yeah. Bought that thing all on the running boat. Yeah. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than the red hot. Yes, you got 'em for sale. Nothing hotter than
you guys want to see that video, go ahead and head over to my page, the L Catalog. You can see it there. And you can also see my review on the movie as well. With the soundtrack of this movie, it was, matter of fact, I was listening to it as I was getting ready to come and do my podcast. I'm trying to figure out why the blues is called the devil's music. If you guys know that answer, feel free to tune in, DM me, come on my podcast, talk about it with me. What I am trying to figure out here is what else were they supposed to play? Like, what else were they supposed to do? So you were either going to have to worry about the Klan, or worry about the devil getting you because you're playing the blues? I mean, what were they going to do after having a long day? Maybe because they were doing non-churchy stuff while they were listening to the music. Blues has some simple chords, and it's the basis, I feel, of all rock and roll and just music in general. And the fact that it is so powerful with such simplicity. Listen, I love the blues. But this soundtrack is amazing. There is a song in there called Pale, Pale Moon, where Miss Perline is getting down. And because I've seen the movie, the song is just that much more exciting. But I feel like they really captured time in that day. I really feel like they captured that time. They didn't need a whole lot for the juke joint. They didn't need a whole lot to make these songs. They just used their bodies and they used this instrument. The soundtrack was just amazing, one of my favorites. So I have just been listening to that the last week or so. If you guys have not seen that, please go see this movie. It is everything and more. I don't think I've only heard a couple people say they didn't like it, and those people, just go see it for yourself. I promise you'll like it. Thought about how I wanted to start this first episode. I thought long and hard. So I thought a little bit about how I wanted to open up this podcast or the first show, because there's a lot of parts, a lot of components that make up my brand. And people have often asked me, like, what is your niche? My niche is my catalog, and the catalog is my niche. If you look at my social media page, I have multiple things going on. That's kind of what works for me. That is how I am wired. That's how I operate. I have to be doing a couple things at once. I have a few passions, and they kind of go hand in hand with each other, and it's kind of like I can't do one without the other. So that's why it's called the catalog. So I have created the L Catalog based off of that. There are so many things that I want to discuss on this platform, and this platform is not just about me. It is about all of us, because there is no me without you. This platform is not so much about the L Catalog, but it is about my listeners. It's about my viewers. I know that sounds corny and cliche, but it really is. Because if you have something to say, I want you to come on the podcast and I want you to talk about it. First and foremost, I want to say that this is a judgment-free zone. This is a safe place for everyone, whether you are commenting, whether you are on the show, whether you have an opinion, whatever it is that you are bringing to the show. No bullying is tolerated. No disrespect is tolerated. I won't let it. And I'm pretty sure my community won't let it either, because I have the best viewers. I really do. I'm not just saying that. One of the biggest things that I would like to open the door for is mental health. I hope that on this platform that we can kind of close that gap between all generations of that disconnect with how people feel about mental health. Mental health can be different things for different people. There are different levels. There are different conditions. For those of you who do not know, I am an autism mom. ASD is autism spectrum disorder. ASD 1 is high functioning. ASD 2 requires a little more help, and ASD 3 is profound autism. Now, You have to get a diagnosis for autism. You have to get screened. It takes a while. The earlier, the better. So the process for myself personally was a nightmare. And I still feel to this day that it robbed my son of the chance of getting that early intervention. Now, mind you, this is also in the stages of kids being diagnosed, more kids being diagnosed, this being more of a known disability. My son, Dallas, he's 9, and he has profound autism. It took 2 years, maybe, just to get him on a list to see a doctor for a diagnosis. The insurance to even cover the tests, the diagnosis, the IEPs, the evaluations, I think that was the biggest nightmare. Every time I called to figure out what type of insurance I needed to get for my son, I was told to get a secondary insurance. When I tried to get a secondary insurance, they told me that was illegal. Then I had to go back to the insurance company, ask them when open enrollment was, wait for that date, switch over to cover this. If it covered all of my son's things, then we didn't get the right coverage for us. It took so much time to find the right people to help because, this is actually pre-COVID, but some people like to just give you a runaround and tell you, oh, call this person, because they may not want to deal with your case. And I feel that's what I was getting. On top of that, you guys already know how customer service is. Hold times can be anywhere from 20 minutes to 5 days. And then they play that god-awful music I can't stand anymore. By the time my second son, Colton, came, we already had an idea of what to do. So everything was kind of set up. So that's why he is more of an ASD1. I was in denial with my first son. I was in so much denial that he had autism because as a parent, as a mom, I know when I was pregnant, I would always think of the things I wanted to do with my kids, envision them of how successful they would be, all the things that they would want to do, and just this wonderful vision in my head. And for a doctor to tell me that your son has autism, it shattered anything and everything I had planned for my life. Not only this, it also had to change. It also changed the way that I had to be there for my daughter. I have a daughter who is 12, and she is the light of my life. She's almost been like a little adult since she's been little. It's like she's just like a serious kid in the sweetest of ways. And I'm so grateful for her. And the boys are so blessed to have her as an older sister because she's so patient and kind. She wrote a book about her brother with autism when she was like in 3rd grade. And I had to divide my time up more to get Dallas the help that he needed. And that took time away from my daughter and her extra activities because while other parents probably take their kids to soccer or Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, my son was going to, early on, ABA therapy. And these are things you don't see. These are things that parents who are in this community maybe don't want to talk about a lot. They're really exhausted. They're really tired. They don't have a lot of time for other things because they're so busy trying to maintain just the simplest of things. There are times, probably a lot of times, where people have wanted to call or have called and want to have a conversation, and I can't have a conversation because my son is in the back hitting himself. And I cannot do anything else except for be there for him. So I have to find it within myself to make sure that I am regulated and good for him. But to have 2 sons, which have totally two different different requirements of special needs, I have to switch up. Not only does this affect the kids that have autism, the siblings that don't have autism, they're affected too. They almost are, they're a helper too. They're like a parent. If we go out, my husband, he is helping. My daughter, she is helping. It takes a village. It takes support. My oldest son, Dallas, he was a runner. So you guys know how that is, the elopers. And let me tell you something. It is not like a regular kid just running off. When your child is not aware of danger and things like death, your system, your nervous system never shuts off. It never shuts off. Parents sometimes worry about what college their kids are going to go to, if they're making the right decision, if they're getting awards or getting that promotion or winning a soccer game. I often worry about what would happen to my kids if their parents aren't here. Their older sibling, which is Micaiah, their big sister, she has to be there for them. These are things that never leave my soul day in and day out. I always felt alone in this journey because I've always had a lot of expectations for myself, and I know there were a lot of expectations put on me also. And when my children or my sons got this diagnosis, that kind of put everything on hold. So my life, my path, everything that I had chosen for myself, it changed. And I never in a million years would have thought I would have one, but not just one, two sons with autism. Even though there are billions of people in the world, I still felt alone because I'm trying to help my sons regulate, because they get very overstimulated when they're in large crowds. I mean, who doesn't know? Sometimes I do too, because I'm trying to look for the exit to make sure if anybody start acting kind of sus, I can get out of here. But I do feel that this lifestyle that has a lot of sensitive components that are required for my sons to be stable daily, it does not allow me to have a huge circle. It does not allow a lot of social time. I don't think I will ever really fully understand this disability, because every day there's something different. There's new labels, there's new terminology, there's new words. Just because I have children with autism, that does not mean I know everything. I would love to hear your story, your journey, anything you want to talk about. Let the world know about what you're going through, because it helps us. It helps me. This community to me is so special. When I come across another parent that is experiencing autism, I don't feel the need to explain. I don't have to explain. There's no judgment. There's no worrying about the right thing to say, the wrong thing to say, having to mask. It's just an unwritten language, almost a comfort of understanding that I see you and you see me, and being there for each other. And I have to tell you, strength is an understatement. So I always appreciate those moments. So I want you to come on my show. I want you to come on the podcast and talk about this. I want to hear your story, and so does everybody else. Mental health. I want to get right into this. Post-COVID, I don't care who you are, everybody has experienced mental health, whether you want to admit it or not. You don't have to. It's okay. It's okay. When I was growing up, mental health, you better get over it. Stop crying. What are you doing? Keep pushing through. I mean, what are you going to do? It's either you're going to get through it or you're going to die. Like, it's two options. So I think it's great that we are talking about this because not everybody is built to handle the same amount of pressure. You don't necessarily have to be born with a mental illness. Things can happen in your life to change your DNA, to change the way your brain is wired. And this is something that people need to talk about without being afraid to talk about it. And my show offers that, because if your mental is not good, how are you going to be good for anything or anybody else? And that's a big part of loving yourself, is making sure that your mental is good. You know, I believe that mental health can be just as bad as a person that might have like a physical disability, and not to belittle what anybody else is going through with a disability, but it can be exhausting. You know, if you're tired all the time and you're fatigued, you're not going to be able to handle getting up in the morning, or going to that job you don't want to go to, going through this another day, and then thinking about the day after and the day after and the day after. You're going to be exhausted. So it is so important to make a space and not be judgmental of people who do not have it as good as you, you know? Be open-minded. If you see someone that has maybe an uninviting personality or attitude, you know, try and figure out why they're like that instead of just taking it for face value. We have no idea what people are going through behind closed doors. None. I know that I can be a professional at putting on a happy face because I don't want you to feel down when you're around me. I don't like the transfer of negative energy, and why would I do that to you? I want you to be uplifted and loved when you leave my presence, or I leave your presence. So this podcast is super important to me because I just want mental health, autism, this huge world of mental wealth, I like to say, because that's always the goal, is to get that wealth mentally. This autism journey that I am on, it is different. Even though we all kind of share the same similarities, it is very different for me. It is not a one size fits all. Like, even when they say spectrum, it's not even a spectrum. It's like a universe. There's 14, I believe, in the diagnosis criteria, but you only have to have 8 to be diagnosed with autism. I think people sometimes confuse it with ADHD, which goes hand in hand with autism. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard someone suggest a timeout or disciplining. And it's in those moments I realize that I have these children because I'm going to protect them. It doesn't matter if you cannot speak or not. You can still feel. You can read facial expressions. You can feel energy. And disciplining is definitely not the way to go with a child with autism. It doesn't even compute to put discipline and autism in the same sentence. I know they mean well, but that works with a child that is able to comprehend direction that you're giving them. Once you get a diagnosis of having autism, right? This is where the real work starts. I thought, okay, we're fine. We're going to get some medication. What are we doing? We're going to be great. No. That's not how this works. I have a folder that's about this thick, no joke, of every year since they've been diagnosed, both my sons, of IEPs. An IEP is an individual evaluation plan. What this means is you have a meeting with the team of people that are part of the educational process of your child. They sit down with you. They set goals. They go over information that they already have from previous teams that have worked with your child. They compare data. They see the growth. They see where there still needs to be improvement. And this happens twice a year for the rest of their life while they're in school. And this measures the progress of if they are improving or not. And these IEPs are about 7 pages each. Sometimes 20 pages. It just depends. Sometimes I've had 30. These IEPs, they can last either from an hour or two because, you have to go through all of this information. At the beginning, when we were taking Dallas to the assessment part of seeing a child psychologist, seeing a doctor, it is steps. You don't just get a diagnosis. They send you to a specialist, a neurology specialist. When Dallas went to go see the neurologist, they took an MRI, and his corpus callosum, which is the little bridge that connects your right hemisphere of the brain and your left hemisphere of the brain. And I have them backwards. I was doing your left and your right and left. It's thinner than normal. So that part fires neurons between both hemispheres. And that part works a little bit different than a normal brain would. So we found very early on that there was something going on in Dallas's brain that we did need to be concerned with. That's when the assessment started. So they had to go in front of a psychologist. Let me tell you, get used to the paperwork. I have filled out assessments like, does he flap his hands? Does he tippy toe? And they basically ask you the same questions in like 5 different ways. It's just part of the process. I got to the point where I could fill out these tests without even looking at the questions. I could just read the first 3 letters of the questions and be like, yeah, he still does this. He still does this. But they don't know your child like you do. So you have to be your child's advocate. You have to explain to them. If you are in denial, it is going to hurt your child. Do not beat yourself up. Do not try to put unrealistic expectations on yourself. For a long time, I thought that I did something wrong. I blamed myself constantly. I think every mother does because we carry the child. And it was just really hard for me to understand that I couldn't figure out the reason as to why this happened. But what gave me a little bit of peace was starting to see that this wasn't something I was just going through. It was other mothers that were experiencing this, and they were telling me their experiences during their pregnancy, and there was nothing to be alarmed. There was no signs, nothing. I had a great delivery with Dallas. I had a normal pregnancy with Dallas. So I took my prenatals. There was really nothing else I could do. So sometimes, there really isn't an answer for anything, and it's not for us to be understood. It's just God's plan. Well, that's it for this podcast. Not this podcast, because this could be around for a minute. That's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode.
The L Podcast
Ciao.
Podcast.